Hey everybody, it's Erin from Erin Makes, and I'm here talking about the amazing summit. Oh my God, I'm so excited. It has been so much fun seeing everybody's posts. I have been dabbling into like the back end of everything and looking at everybody's stuff, but I haven't commented yet. I'll get to that. I've been working on another project off to the side, but I just wanted to remind everybody what my project was. Look how fun that is. I had so much fun with this project, and I love doing this summit because it really gets me going back into all my goodies of my stash and kind of looking at everything and going, what can I play with today? And just to kind of tell you where I love butterflies, and I love my stencil butters and I love stencils, but I got the inspiration from a couple of different places for this technique, using the stencil, like painting on a stencil, dabbing it, and then also using it as a stencil. I was watching Katie Petite when she was playing with a lot of her little short reels when she was doing stuff with Arden Studios, and she did that technique. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is just fabulous. This is like the best thing ever. And I just thought that that was just so much fun. So I kind of hijacked that technique, which is why we watch videos for inspiration. And I was using that also in my maker's retreat. So I did that a lot in my, like one of my classes for my maker's retreat. And then I carried that over into this card. And I hope you're having a ton of fun. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. Got caught up making the project, lost track of time. It's so easy to do, so easy to do. I'm just saying hello to everybody who's on. I see Debbie J. She's like amazing. Thank you so much for jumping on to all the fun videos. And we've got Tammy and Sue and Brenda and Norma. Hello, hello, hello. All right, so some of the common questions I get are, do you have to use this particular, do I have to use stencil butter from my card? Do I have to use that particular background for that? And the answer is no. You could use whatever paint you want. I've even done this with like Lindy's Magicals. I've done the same technique in that respect. I've done watercolors. I've done heavy body paints. I've done like loose body paints. I've done cheap paint, expensive paints, pastes, obviously. So whatever medium that has color to it, go for it. Tips on composition. Ooh, good question. Okay. So if you're taking a look at this particular card in terms of composition, take a look at where everything is lined up. It's all lined up pretty much as a vertical, right? So here we have a vertical. I love layers. So when I was doing this card, I was focusing with the stencil pretty much on the one side. If you notice, this side does not have a whole lot going on with it, right? So I was thinking vertical, 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 lots of layers, have a few that kind of go out here and there and kind of, spread their wings a little bit, quote unquote. And then I wanted to add some more layers and kind of break up before I put color. So I had lots of color in the background, and the colors in the background were the colors that inspired me from the butterfly. So I pulled 3 to 4 colors. Blacks and whites are always easy, but some colors from the butterfly that would work with the paint colors that I had. And then I wanted to break it up, and that's where I did the black and the white paper, which was just the scraps from the outside of the card. So I'm like using leftover bits, a black pen to kind of break it up so it doesn't look so stark, because we got lots of fun layers here. So just kind of breaking it up a little bit. And then if you notice, we have kind of an L shape. You see that going on there? So it's very easy if you're kind of focusing in this bottom corner right here, and then leaving the rest of it as white space. I love giving it a matte. So it gives your space a little bit smaller to work with. Plus it just creates a really nice border to the entire card. And you could blow this up to be bigger. You could make this smaller. This could easily be transferred as a journal page. You could do this exact same thing as a journal page. Everything works as a journal page. This was the first card I made from the summit, and I had to do it first. I love that. It is a fun card. And I have actually done this same technique on another card. So here it is. This is another variation, but instead of a butterfly, I chose a rainbow, and I changed the colors up. It is so easy to do this technique with that, and it's just fun. It's just so much fun. So if you don't like the butterfly, and there is the free printable that you can go get that has a wide range, a wide range of butterflies, and it also has a variety of different sentiments that you can put on the front of your card. But you can also play with, think about hearts, think about Christmas. If you're really kind of going for Christmas cards, you could do a star, you could do a Christmas tree, you could do a reindeer, you could do an ornament, you could do a snowman, and then whatever image, and it could be a stamped image. Pull out your stamps, color it up, make it kind of a fun mixed media background. The colors in this main focal image really can kind of lead into the next thing. It's all kinds of fun. And then Now we're getting into winter, a snowflake. That'd be kind of cool. You could do a couple of snowflakes together. You could get into Valentine's Day and do hearts. You could do a birthday cake on that. Like the sky's the limit for this particular design. So if you're just kind of looking at the two here, it's the same concept, right? Just pull the colors as they work. Going to make it later today. Yay. Okay, hands up, shout out. I've heard a couple people say they made it. Anybody else made it today? Anybody else? And guess there is a free printable. You can head over to my website. For those, I've set it down to free, so it's $0 right now. I do that during all my summits for all my freebies that I do for the events for the summits. But there is a coupon code within the video. So if you don't get it, because after the summit's over, I put the price back up, but that coupon code is in the video. So if you miss getting it this weekend for whatever reason, then just use a coupon code and that lasts for a good year. So you're good to go on that. All right, trying to see if there's any other cards going on. Does anybody have anything fun things going on this weekend? I'm going to a concert tonight. I have not been to a concert and I cannot tell you how long. And it's going to be a ton of fun. It's just, I have not had a chance to kind of let loose and go out and have fun in a very, very long time. And we've had some family struggles with some health issues with my daughter the past couple of weeks, but she's doing so much better that we're like, concert's on. So that is our fun adventure. It's a kind of a late birthday present to myself, which is great. All right. If there's any other questions, let me know. Tend to lean clean and simple. This is what I would call probably the most clean and simple version of a mixed media card because there's no wrong way to do it. And it really does lead into the clean because you're leaving it clean on part of the card, right? And if it smushes a little bit, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Like it just makes it easy. So I'm kind of looking down here to see if there's any other questions or comments. But yeah, shout out if you've made the card. Shout out if you're doing it. And if not, are you planning on it? And which butterfly are you picking? Because there's lots of butterflies that you can pick from. Or if you're not doing a butterfly, what other focal point would you put on there? You could do a moth. There's always that. There's so much fun you can do with that particular card. Ooh. What are my favorite mediums to mix together? Well, I love a good paste. A good paste gives you, and I'm going to shout out my, stencil butters that are behind me. I tend to work with them quite a bit. I also work at Crafters Workshop, so that's part of the reason. But a good paste, I like it because I can take water and I can thin it down, especially because they're water-based, and I can thin them down, and it gives me like a nice watercolor look or kind of a thinner look. The thickness of the paste itself is great because then it can be built up and it's got some texture to it. So if you're using it with a stencil or if you're just dabbing it on a surface, it stays and it gives it some volume. And I think that is just so much fun. So I like working with something that I can keep it nice and thick, or I can also mix the colors together and create new colors, or I can thin it down to just a little bit thinner or thin it down to like a watercolor, which is really fun. So that one is probably, if I was going to pick a medium, would be one of my favorite ones because I can do a lot of stuff with it. It's not just a one-trick pony, which is kind of fun. Class was awesome. Thanks so much for teaching the technique. Absolutely welcome. Well, I got to throw it to Katie Petit because she's the one. I took her idea of painting on the stencil and then I went my own direction with it, which I think is so much fun because you can see somebody's class or you can see a reel or a short video or, a video tutorial or a video from a summit and you can go, ooh, and then you just kind of hone in on that little fun technique, that little nugget that you're like sparked that little creativity bug in you. And then you can use that in any way, shape. So even if your cards, which they will look totally different than mine, it hopefully kind of sparks something. And then you might take something that you've done with that class and use that in a different way in something else, and then use that. And it can lead down like a whole rabbit hole of all kinds of fun stuff that you can do. So sky is the limit when it comes to kind of playing around with your paints and stuff. Any tips for the thin pastes not to leak under the stencil? Good question. Okay, so thicker pastes are better when it comes to stencils, but you can do thinner stuff. Like I said, I've used watercolor with this technique. I didn't care. But if you're wanting to have a very clean stencil look and having it be very, like you're wanting to do like a single swipe, or you're wanting to do, something that is very, very clean and you don't want it to leak. A couple of tips. Number one, there's these amazing brushes, and Crafters Workshop has some here. There's also stencil brushes that look like these. These ones are from Dynasty. Whatever, it's a flat brush, right? So it's got a nice flat tip edge, just like that. There's also one that I have that actually has got a couple of, see, it's got like little layers to it. It almost has like an outer ring and an inner ring. So I'm looking at the screen to make sure it's in focus. And when you're taking your paint, you get paint on it, get as much paint off of it. So it's got paint on the brush, but it's not like dripping, right? So you kind of dry brush it off on like a palette paper or paper towel, and then you dab, right? So if you start smearing onto your stencil, that's when your stencil might move, and that's when you might get the leakage under. So dab it and try not to overdo it. Like, get the coverage that you need, but don't overdo it. The second thing is work with some sort of mat that helps hold your stencil down. I personally, and I think I used it in the video, grabbing it out of my drawer so you can see it. I love my new glass mat. I actually have like the smallest one that they have. It works great for pretty much every project that I do. It's got the magnets are stuck to the back right now. So I can put my paper down, and then I can put my stencil if I want to do that clean stencil look. That's not what the card was for this project, but I can put my stencil down. I can magnetize it down to the surface, and then it won't move on me. So even if I happen to jolt it or like my hand bumps it or something, if you don't have that, you could use washi tape. You could use painter's tape along the edges. I've seen people use like sticky mats. And what I mean by a sticky mat is like an old Cricut mat that still has some stick to it. You put your paper down, you put the stencil, everything sticks. Sometimes you put a little extra painter's tape just to make sure. And then when you're done, you peel it off. The downside to that, to using the sticky mat, is there's no good way to clean the paint off the sticky mat. That's why I like the glass mat version. Another thing that I did for a long time until I got the glass mat is I was using, because again, it was sticky, is I was using my, my gel plate. So the paper stuck to the gel plate. And as long as my paper was smaller than the stencil stuck to the gel plate as well. And so everything kind of stuck, and I could clean this off as well. The limitation to this is that if your paper is bigger than your stencil, then the stencil doesn't have anywhere to stick to the gel plate, but it is an option. So there's lots of ways that you can get a good surface, but if you don't have any of those, painter's tape works great. So hopefully that answered that question. So a good quality way to stick your stencil down. And number two, getting that quality brush, that flat tip brush, and doing the dabbing method or the pouncing method or the stippling method or whatever you want to call it. And that way you can get it. And make sure your paint or your medium is not too thick. So you want to like dry it off on a paper towel or something, and then you're coming in and adding it to there. So I hope that answered that question. Good question though. And practice. That's the key thing. I still screw it up. So practice, practice, practice. Practice on something you don't care about. All right, I thought I saw another question here. Sorry, I'm just reading. Butterfly girl. Oh, well, I'm a butterfly girl too. I love butterflies. Is there a difference to painter's tape than masking tape? Painter's tape pulls clean. So Joyce asked, so painter's tape, like the blue tape you use when you're in your house, there's also, I think I have a tiny version of it. There's this purple tape that you can get, like I'm pretty much out. And basically it's an easy release tape. It's the same kind of release. It's a little more sticky than you get on a Post-it note. So enough to stick it, but it doesn't peel anything off that's behind it, right? So like it won't peel your paper off. Masking tape, on the other hand, has a little more stick to it. There's like more sticky stuff to the tape. So when you're peeling it off of your paper, you might pull some of your paper with it, or you might pull some of the canvas or some other, you might have already had some paint down that you were kind of, stenciling over or something. Sorry, my nose is itchy. So make sure that you're using something that has an easy release, and that should help you as well. So that's what I like to use. Washi tape, decent washi tape, even the cheapy stuff has got a nice easy release. So I use that all the time because I have oodles and oodles of washi tape. So, but blue painter's tape works great too. There's another question. Greetings from the Netherlands. Hi, Nicole. Hello, hello. What other techniques do you like to do? Oh gosh, all. I am like, I like to call myself like the ADHD crafter. I do a little bit of everything. And the nice thing about cards is you can do pretty much everything on cards. The only thing I've not done on cards, I don't know. I don't think no, I've put fabric on cards. I've stitched on cards. I've painted on cards. I've colored on cards. I've watercolored on cards. I have obviously put paper on cards in various cut things out, paper pieced it together, stamped on cards. I can't think of anything I haven't done on cards. I'm sure there's techniques out there I have not done yet, but I can't think of any. So I'd like to try new things that go, ooh, something that's a little bit different. My favorite thing to do with cards, though, and I also love to get these cards, and I'm in the current, I host a card swap, and the Christmas card swap is to an end, and I'm sorting all the cards back to mail back to everybody. But I do videos on my YouTube channel where I show all the amazing cards that all the swappers have been sent in to give everybody else inspiration. The videos are on my channel right now if you want oodles and oodles of amazing inspiration. I kind of try to describe the techniques that they have done and show you how they kind of open. But it's all like the fun folds and all of the cool openings, and I enjoy all the art that goes on the front of the cards. But if it's a card that I'm like, it opens this way, this way, this way, or like I turn this and this pops, or like it does this thing, it just has a little bit more of a fun element to it. As much as I appreciate the fun on here, I like when cards, just to give you an example, like I didn't make this one, but like cards that have like just something different to it, right? And it's got a score, it's got this. So that's when I create cards, I love that fun technique. But then I'll also then divert to doing like mixed media. So, I have my phases of what I like to do. For sure. It jumps around all over the place. Okay. There was another. I can't wait to make this card. Yay. I love cards. Always wondered how crafters keep their sticky mats clean from the ink. Thank you for. So yeah, there's no good way. And just to show you, I also have, because I've used like all the different mats out there. And if I am just doing ink blending or something, the sticky mats are fine. So if I'm using my Catherine Pooler inks, and I'm pointing over here because that's where they are. But I have also had like the Stamp and Spin. This is the stamping platform that Sizzix has. And the mat right here, because that cover comes off, and so it creates a stamping platform. This is a sticky platform here that your paper can stick to. But look how gross it's gotten over the years. And I've had this for 2 years now. And this comes off and you can get a brand new one, but it bothered me that I couldn't clean it. So when I started playing with the glass mat, I was like, done. It can do all the things that I want it to do. And I can still use that stamping. The nice thing about that stamping platform, though, I will have to say, is that it's a stamping platform and I can also stick to it. It has some other things to do, but if I'm using pastes or paints or something, glass mat all the way. That's my go-to now. I'm just reading all the questions here. Where did the idea come from using mixed media and a printable together? Necessity. Well, it was a way. So when I do these summits, for every single one of the summits that I participate in, and I do, sorry, I'm trying to close my drawer right here. For all the ones that I do, I like to give something for free. I love to give the freebies. And the freebie I want to give everybody is something that is, you could replicate the card at home and try to do exactly what I have done with just adding your own paper. So I tend to lean into a printable. And so when I look at images and I create the images that go in the printable, I'm like, okay, so basically you could stamp and color in a butterfly. There are stamps out there and you could recreate this, or I could give you a printable version and that does that job for you. And now you can print off as many as you want, and I can change the colors in there. So it just kind of opens up a window for me to give you something. And then it's like, oh, but I could also stamp that, which you absolutely can. And so I try to give you something so you could recreate the same version of the project I'm making, whether it be an SVG or a printable. And so that's where because I can't mail everybody a stamp. That would be very, very expensive, but I can give you the digital file for you to then print off and go your merry way. So, and then basically that's just a stamp. If you think about it, the sentiment, it was like I stamped on black with white ink, but I did it, or sometimes it's a color or whatever. So I try to change it up each time, but it kind of was born from the idea of trying to give you guys something so you could recreate the same card as I did. There you go. See if there's any other fun questions. How do you come up with my ideas? Ooh. So I kind of mentioned for this particular card, I was inspired by Katie Bertich. She was doing this with the stencils that were from Art and Creative Studios. And she was doing it actually with distress oxide. She wasn't even using paint at all. But I liked the idea of it. I was like, that could work with paint. So she was using distress oxides, and it was oxides. And she'd smear it on a glass plate add a little bit of water. So basically she made watercolor, and she would put that on the stencil and then tap it on the paper to create the background. And I was like, that could work with paint. That could work with mediums. That could work with all kinds of stuff. And so that's where that idea was born. And then, butterflies. Who doesn't love butterflies? So that's the basis of where that technique kind of spurred from. Sometimes I get ideas all the time, specifically for cards from my card swap, the ladies and gentlemen that send their cards into me, and then I go through them and I put them on the video. I put cards in the card swap, so I get to keep some too. And there's so many, I have a drawer full right here of cards that I'm inspired by. And I'm like, that's a really cool fun fold, or that's a cool technique they did on their card. So I will use that as a launching platform for the cards I make for my summits and for my classes. So hopefully you never know where inspiration is going to strike. A short reel that I saw, a long form video, somebody else's class in the summit, and that little nugget of something just kind of goes, ooh, I should do that. You love your glass mat. The glass mats are awesome. Glass mats are so, so cool. I love them. Not sure how much time I have here, Laurel. We didn't talk about the length of time that we're supposed to be on, but I'll just keep.
Whenever the questions dry up or it approaches half hour after the hour, 3:30.
Okay. I was kind of looking at all the other videos, and they were all anywhere between like 15 and 25 minutes. And I'm like, at 21, I'm like, maybe I'm in the ballpark.
If the questions are drying up, you are free to. Yeah.
Did anybody else have questions? Inquiring minds want to know. I feel like it's such an easy card to do, and it's such an easy, fun technique. Like, I love doing this, and I love creating, and I've done it. I have my journal back here that I've been playing around in and doing versions of the same concept in that journal. And I would love, please post your pictures of the card in the Facebook group, and tag me on them, or if you want to post them on Instagram and tag me. I've had people do that. I love to see how people take, that's the biggest gift I can get, from when you take something that was kind of like my little class or tutorial, and then you take it and do it your own direction, and what inspired you and where you went from that. That's the biggest win for me, is seeing where it trickles down from there. And it's just lots of fun. All right, a couple other, do you have any other cards to show us? Oh, I always have cards to show you. Let's see. Well, some of them are not even my cards. I guess I could go into, they're shoved in here. This one's fun. I think this is a cool card. This was the fun folds that somebody made. And I'm going to try, I think this is going to be one of my classes I'm going to do at one point, but look at how it opens. Isn't that cool? And it's just folds. And then you have all these little sections that you can put stuff on. So if you're wanting to see all these versions of cards, and I chit chat how I think they're made, or I talk about that, then you got to come see my card swap videos. That one's fun. Oh, this is a card that it's for a future summit that's coming up. And this is the companion card that goes with that. Let me do one more, just because we can. Oh, this is a variation to the one I just showed you, but in a different, look at that. It just opens a little bit differently, right? I love those kinds of cards. And I did not make these. This one is from Debbie Wilson. And, oh, they're both Debbie Wilson. Shocker, shocker. All right. Oh, you wanted to let me know how much you enjoyed my video. Thank you. Yeah, I try to put color in there. Color is just so much fun. I love color. And when it's easy coloring, it's even better. Could you use rub-ons instead of writing yourself? Yes. Absolutely. I just literally scribbled. But if you want to use, I am all for, obviously this is what this whole summit's about, using your stash. If you've got rub-ons and you're like, it's cool scripts, there is no wrong way to do it. The only caveat I'm going to tell you right now is because, and it depends on how thick you put your paint on there. So the rub-ons, because if you've got a little bit of a thicker background to this, it might be a little bumpy. Your rub-ons might be not even, but that's kind of cool too. And it might shift and morph. And I think that's fantastic. I like it when that was kind of the point of this particular card, was that it's not supposed to look perfect. The messier kind of gave it the cooler vibe. So if things didn't line up, and if it gets smeared this way or the other, if it bleeds a little bit, or if it does whatever, cool. But yeah, I think rub-ons would be really fun. And again, use your stash. If you got them, use them. I'd love to see what it looks like when it's done. Why not? Why not use it? Yeah, the fun folds are never ending. There are so many, and people are constantly coming up with new ideas for fun folds. And it's just, they're so cool and they're so fun. I have The other cards I absolutely love that are really cool are the ones that are like use your stash cards, like use your paper scraps, and fun different ways to use up your paper scraps. Like this one, just, it's easy, but it's just using up your paper scraps. Or like these ones here, like blocking the cards out. This one is from Anne Brandt, and this one is from Patrizia de Boer. And I just love cards that use up like the little extras, the little something somethings. I got a whole drawer full here. Oh my goodness. Oh, this one's a fun one. Oops, it popped off. But look, here's another one that's using up some of your paper scraps, but you use like color blocking with it. So cool. And like you could use up one whole paper pad and just color block it out. So much inspiration out there. And you guys are the ones that I feel like give me the most inspiration, because there's so many, there's no possible way I could go out there and watch all the amazing card videos and all the different people that put out tutorials or the latest, pictures on Instagram. And so it becomes this hive mind collective of, one person saw this and then they replicate it and they post it on their page, but they've changed it up and it's morphed into this, and this. So, the most best inspiration comes from looking around and seeing what's out there and just what strikes you as cool and fun. So I think our questions are kind of running out a little bit, and we're right about that half an hour mark. So I want to say thank you so much, everybody, for being here and jumping on. And if you want to check out me on my YouTube channel, on my Instagram, on all my social medias, Erin Reed Makes is everything. So that's my Erin Reed Makes it's right there. Oh, nope. There it is, right there. So you can check me out there. Lots of fun videos, reels, and I don't just do card making. I do lots of other things. I do sublimation, and I do leather crafts, and lots of other kind of crafting things. But I do lots of fun cards as well, and I also I travel around and bring all kinds of fun crafting adventures to you from all over the world. Lots of videos coming from my adventures that I went on this past year. I'm currently editing all those, and I do lots of fun events, and you can always catch me at some of these summits. They're just so much fun. I absolutely love creating content for these summits and classes. And then if you're interested, I also have my Makers Retreat, and I'll be announcing that coming up probably the very beginning of the year. It's an in-person retreat just outside of Austin, Texas. We have so much fun. There's only 14 spots, and I'm currently looking for the educators for next year. It's myself, and I also have 2 other educators, and it is just a blast. So thank you, everybody. Have so much fun at the summit. We're only on day 1, and there's so many amazing classes that you can use up your stash, and I can't wait to see what you guys all create. Have an amazing day, everybody. Bye.